Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out a video titled 8 Underrated Things About Life in Germany. This is coming from the channel now here on YouTube. So, American Living in Germany. Also, a link for the original video will be in the description. So go out and check out the video if you haven't seen it before. But yeah, for sure, let's get right into this video and find out the 8 underrated things that now things are in Germany. So without further ado, let's get right into this video, guys.
Okay, everyone knows about the things Germany is famous for being good at. Germany has great beer. Germany has great cars. Germany is really good at soccer, or they used to be. But in this video, I am going to talk about things about life in Germany that I think are underappreciated or underrated. So without further ado, let's get into it. The absolute vastness and rich history that is just commonplace in day-to-day life here in Germany. Right now I'm sitting on the steps of a church that's from the 12th century. And I feel like people that are from Germany really sort of take this for granted. And even I started to take it for granted after living here for a few years. I remember when I first came here, I was just awestruck by how old some of these buildings were and how much history there was on the things that I was walking around on. But you do get used to it. And it's only once I started to read some Ken Follett books like The Pillars of the Earth, which is about the making of a cathedral, that I really started to reappreciate just how crazy it is that there's this insane history all around us. This behind me here, the Kloster Kronborg, which is a former monastery, originated in 1078. It's over 1,000 years ago. So.
Oh my gosh, it just doesn't, like, I think a lot of people don't understand my, you know, surprise expression. Like when I say this cannot be real, they think I'm actually being for real, that I don't believe it's real. I believe it's real. It's just so amazing that you have to say it's not real. There's no way it's real. And it's like, I would love to see this, you know, but travel is very expensive. But that's pretty cool to have a building, you know, last so long. You know, stone buildings are really legit though. But yeah, wow, this is, yeah, crazy.
And I feel like it's kind of taken for granted for and pretty underrated here in Germany. This culture of when people buy a home, they buy a home for life. In the United States, I feel like there's this culture and attitude of people buying starter homes, which is a home that you're buying that you know you're not going to live in forever, that maybe you're actually going to only live in it for a couple of years. Whereas I feel like the idea of a starter home doesn't really, generally speaking, exist in Germany. When people are building or buying a house, they have the attitude and mindset that this is going to be my home for life. And I feel like the American mentality when it comes to home ownership is very stressful, and it kind of is a nice metaphor for American culture as a whole. It's always about, okay, leveling up, okay, what's next, leveling up, which I think is a very American mentality in a lot of aspects of life. So I feel like this mentality of this house being a home for life gives a person a sense of peace and security, whereas the American mentality when it comes to homes often is sort of a stressful one and one of anxiety and always leveling up and not settling and finding peace. So I think this idea and mentality that Germans have when it comes to homes is very underrated. Behind China, Russia, and Brazil, Germany has the most neighboring countries bordering it in the world. And this is not something to be overlooked. The United States, we border Mexico and Canada. We do not have such close and easy access to other cultures. The fact that people grew up in Germany, in the heart of Europe, with access to 9 different countries on its border is really an incredible thing. Being able to drive 2 hours and be in France, drive 1 hour and be in Switzerland, or go east and drive and be in the Czech Republic, or up north to Denmark, it's a really valuable thing.
Wait, this is
I was just talking to a former teammate.
That's actually crazy. I did not know that Denmark was neighbor with Germany, and like there's so much about Europe that I still have not discovered as yet, and I cannot believe that that's one of them. I didn't know Denmark was right there with Germany. I knew about the other ones like France, right, and the Netherlands being close and whatever, and Belgium just a little bit under right there. I know that, but dang.
And he talked about how, yeah, the first time he left Germany to go to a different country was probably before he could walk, and he'd been going to different countries in Europe that spoke different languages all growing up. The first time I went to a country that spoke a different language than mine was when I came to Germany in 2016. This is totally underappreciated by people that live in Germany and grew up with this. Very underrated. The diversity of both the humans and the geography in Germany. This is a very underrated aspect of the country. When I first came to Germany, I just thought, oh yeah, German people, they're all the same. They're the same in the north, they're the same in the south. Germans are Germans are Germans. Now after living here, I am shocked that this is one country. Look at the map of the Holy Roman Empire. That is the diversity of different people and culture in Germany. It is still very alive and present today. I would honestly say that people in the southern Bavaria are much more culturally close to Austrians than they are culturally close to people up way far in the north of Germany. And I'd say these people, these northern Germans that are way up near the border of Denmark, they're closer to Danes than they are to Bavarians in terms of culture. And so I feel like just this line that's drawn around Germany as the border for Germans is almost arbitrary, and there's just a wild range of diversity when it comes to people and cultures in Germany. Germans are very different across the country. And in going with that, there's also a diversity of landscape and geography that I think doesn't get talked about when people speak of Germany. Everyone just thinks, oh yeah, Germany looked the same all over. No, you go to southern Germany, you've got the mountains, the Alps. You go to the southwest, you've got the Black Forest. You go up to the north, you've got the ocean, you've got different beaches, you've got like the islands, Sylt. And then you go over into the east and you've got what they called Saxon Switzerland, which is basically this different type of landscape geography, rocky climbing areas. In the west again to the Rhine River Valley. I mean, there's just different types of landscapes and geography all over Germany, and it's got a wide array of landscapes that I think is very underrated.
Yeah, it reminds me of that's one thing that definitely, you can definitely find in the United States. It's just that a lot of Americans don't really experience that because they're either growing up in the country or in the city, and yeah, a lot of people don't actually travel in the United States, which would shock a lot of people.
How walkable Germany is, and not just small towns here like Schwäbisch Hall, but also even some of the bigger cities, like even Stuttgart is so much more walkable than cities in the United States. And this is just a natural thing for people that grew up in Germany. Of course, yeah, the city is made for people, human beings, to walk around, not for cars. But I feel like it's a very underrated thing because it's just so normal. So how walkable cities, towns, and villages are is very underrated. So in Germany, when there is standstill traffic on the Autobahn, all the cars move off to the sides and create an alleyway in the middle of the road. This is known as a Rettungsgasse, which literally translates to rescue alley. And it's so that emergency vehicles can still get through easily and quickly when there's standstill parking lot style traffic. Now, of course, in these situations when there's such bad traffic, nobody's in a good mood. Nobody's happy about that. But everybody knows and buys into this idea like, hey, I'm annoyed, it's horrible traffic, but I'm going to move off to the side and we're going to create this lane in the middle for emergency vehicles to take care of people if that needs to happen. We're not taught to do this in the United States, and I feel like it's underrated that people do this all the time.
And I don't even think it's something that should be taught. I think it's second nature. Like you should naturally be like, you know what, emergency vehicles, let me move over, in a case where it's a still traffic, not just, oh, I see an emergency vehicle, I'm gonna move over. No, it should be something where you're like, okay, this is still traffic, we're gonna be here for a minute, let's get to the sides, you know what I mean.
Without fail in Germany.
Yesterday
I was on a walk and I saw a group of 4 really young children. They were maybe 3, 4 years old. And they were out riding little bikes and walking with each other. And I was waiting for a parent to come around the corner because obviously kids this young are not out riding their bikes and walking on their own.
They're
And I waited and I realized
no.
there was no parent or adult with them. These are just four young little kids out
Roger
enjoying
that.
the town, and it is totally normal and totally safe. This is something that you just really would not see in the United States.
Oh my days. Now I'm like, oh shit. Now I'll be blocking the pathway. But yeah, yeah. Good that that person, you know, just understood. And you know, because a lot of people are dicks in this world, man, that like you'll block them and they just create a whole unnecessary, you know, situation. And it's like, dude, chill, calm down. I wasn't doing that intentionally. It was just to make a video. Relax.
To my American brain, it is still very shocking to just see
It's a beautiful
young
thing.
children
That's
roaming
for sure. It's a
about
beautiful
on
thing.
their own. I feel like this is an underrated aspect of life in Germany, that this is just able to be a totally normal and safe thing.
Beer
In
before
Germany,
stare.
you cannot drive a car until you're 18, but you can drink beer at 16.
Oh,
In the United States,
right,
you can
right.
drive a car at 16.
you know, this is a good conversation, and I like intellectually, what you'd say, stable people. So when you're, you know, reasoning something, you don't, you know, get heated and start, you know, and you're mad because somebody has a different point of view. Me personally, I cannot actually definitively, whatever. I cannot choose a side between this. Is it better to allow someone to drink at a younger age or to drive at a younger age? Like, which one is better? In my humble opinion, I don't think any of them is bad, because one, driving is very important. It takes a lot of lives, which means that allowing a person to be able to start driving at the age of 16 might be bad, but it also can be good because they learn. Alcohol, it's a dangerous thing. You have to, you know, control the substance, blah, 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 blah. Drinking at a young age, you might become an addict. But guess what? You can also learn control and self-discipline and all of that, because you're with your parent. You're with somebody who is more advanced. It's two things that, whether you believe it or not, at a young age can be problematic, and at a young age can be beneficial. You know, I would love to hear you guys' points on that, but keep it, you know what I'm saying, ain't no need to bash nobody.
Beer until you're 21. It's very underrated that Germans do it this way. My dad worked in insurance for a long time, and so he knew the statistics about young drivers getting in accidents. All of us young
That's what I'm
kids
talking
getting our
about.
driver's license at 16, he knew there was a very high percentage chance that we would get in an accident in the first 12 months of having a driver's license at
That's
this age.
crazy.
And lo and behold, all 6 Alfieri kids got in some sort of accident at different levels within the first year of having the driver's license. Now, I don't know the German statistics off the top of my head, but I'm assuming that a smaller percentage of drivers in Germany.
And you know what's funny? Germans, and I think Europe in general, have a more strict drive-in procedure. And America, it's not that strict.
Get in an accident in the first year of having your license, just simply because your brain is slightly more developed at 18 than it is at 16.
That is true.
Driving a car is much more dangerous and such a greater responsibility than having a beer. And I feel like in the United States, we have it a little bit mixed up. We think driving a car is safer than drinking a beer. So I'm really a fan of how Germany handles these two topics.
it's a
these
good
different
conversation.
ages. And I think it's a very underrated aspect of life in Germany.
It's a very good conversation to have, because both of them are negative, but the truth is, like Now said, driving, you know, yeah, that one can directly take life, right? But at the same time, drinking in Germany, you see how it goes. You can drink at a younger age, but you can't drive. So it goes hand in hand, you know? So I don't know. Maybe the drinking might actually be better, but you know, there's room for conversation. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section.
German
Good pavement.
infrastructure. Germany is commonly ranked as the #1 country in the world when it comes to infrastructure. I'll just tell you, driving on the roads in Germany is a very pleasurable experience. Driving on the Autobahn is great. Hardly ever any potholes. The roads are in pristine conditions. And I actually really noticed this even more when I was driving out to Cody and Speedy's house the other day. They live outside of Schwäbisch Hall, and you have to drive on a bunch of back roads to get there. Not prime roads that are, you know, taken care of all the time and have construction all the time. And even these back roads are just pristine. I will say German construction seems to take quite a long time. There are a few construction projects here around Schwäbisch Hall that they've been working on my entire time here and seem to have made little to no progress. However, when they do finish projects in Germany,
it's solid.
They do it well and
solid.
They do it to last. I think if you want to really appreciate German roads and German infrastructure, leave the country and go drive on some other ones. I feel like if you grew up in this system, this is just what you know and this is the standard. So even though it is literally ranked #1 in infrastructure, I feel like people do not really appreciate that. It's undervalued, and therefore it makes my list of underrated things about life in Germany. All right, guys, that is all for today.
Yeah, that was a good video, bro. Yeah, definitely the roads, good point. The kids, good point as well. The drinking, like I said, that one is up for conversation because there's a lot of people who believe in, you know, kids should be able to drive at a younger age to get your license and such like that, right? But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of people who'd probably be against the drinking as well. But at the end of the day, both are risky things. And if you're mentally stable, you will know, and you will be honest enough to say both are, you know, things that can go really sour real quick if it's messed up, right? But at the end of the day, parental supervision, I think, is the reason why any of these can actually, you know, remain in control. You know, because if you see your parent not drinking too much, you're like, I don't have to drink too much. And if you see your parent driving reckless, you're going to drive reckless. So, you know, parental thing is very important at the end of the day. But yeah, great video by Now. If you guys can let me know your feedback on that specific one, the drinking. I'd imagine that the Germans would all be like, oh yeah, drinking is better than to be driving at 16. Right. But I want some good, credible reasons in the comment section. So, you know, in the case I have this conversation, I can, you know, say it to someone. But either ways, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching. Peace.